the top floor, tips from the top, alright, from the top floor.
Changing stuff. I just don't want to get into it. And the other reason for that is because that I'm not doing it is because I'm getting excellent results with the profiles that the manufacturers create. So it's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing.
and a lot of the paper.
Martin, have you tried sort of the? Sorry.
Go ahead, Benoit.
Martin, have you tried sort of the middle ground, which is those services where you print 2 or 3 sheets yourself and you send them by post and they return a custom profile? Have you tried that?
I haven't. Again, it's because I don't find that I need it. I've thought about it in the past, but have you tried that, Benoit?
Well, I did, and I was really surprised, which is why you may want to just give it a shot one day. Is I did it and I tried with one special paper. It was extremely difficult to print on, and for which I couldn't find the profile. So of course I needed right. one made, and I said, okay, while I'm doing this, I might as well send an Epson paper to see, if this thing really works. So I sent I think it was the archival paper. So very basic, the thing where obviously you have the profile, you have the profile for. And I was amazed at the difference in quality that made, even for that Epson paper for which I had the Epson profile.
So you ended up having a new profile for the Epson paper, and that was better than the original one?
Exactly, which really amazed me. I mean, let's be honest here. It's not like it's not twice as good, but it certainly is like 30-35% better in terms of the rendering. I felt it was so much better. So maybe my printer was so off the chart that it needed custom profile. I don't know, but I was really amazed by the difference that made, and I would never have thought that. I got the profile for free because with the podcast and everything. So I said, why not try it? And I was amazed with the result.
You know what? Sorry. Go ahead, John.
Sorry, I was just on the same subject. I recently did a review of the Color Monkey, which has got a printer profiling feature in it as well as a screen profiling feature. And I just wanted to really back up what Benoit said there, because I was getting great results with my printer. I really enjoyed the quality of the prints I got with the manufacturer supplied profiles. But after going through the process of profiling the printer with the Color Monkey, I got to say, I thought they looked better. I was getting detail in areas that previously were a bit muddy, and
do you have any idea why that is? Why the manufacturers don't deliver profiles that are as good as they could be, or is that just variations and
what I understood? What I understood, because I asked the question to the guy who made the custom profile for me, and he said the manufacturer profiles are made for an average printer. And yours is never average because there are small variations. So
they
make so many of them, so there are small variations. And if you're a bit on, let's say your printer is making yellow a little bit more or a little bit less, then that will add up eventually.
So
and
it does make sense to really, if you really want to nail it with your own printer, to really reprofile these things. Wow, this is interesting. So what was that service you used, Benoit?
It's a service called Squadra. It's a French company. They also have a great new product, by the way. So the website is squadra.fr. I can put it on the IRC, and they have a great new service where they send you a print that is top quality print with the file on the CD, and you can load this. You can load the file on the CD and reprint it yourself, and that gives you. It's not something that you could use to calibrate, but it gives you a chance to check that you've done the calibration properly, that the profile is been used properly, etc. So it's interesting. But the great thing with that is that if you don't have so many papers, you don't have to buy something like a Color Monkey. You can just send the prints and they will do it for you.
You know what? I'll definitely give it a try. One of the things that I was going to say is that I've sort of devised a method recently to catalog all of the testing that I do, because, like I say, I print a lot, and so I mean, you're not going to be able to see this, but I've got this for the people that are listening to this later. Sorry about this, but I'm holding up like a book of test prints that I have put together. And basically what I've done is I've created a test chart that contains a few images that that I know were troublesome for me, but also there's the Granger chart and a gamut chart on there. And what it basically does is it's allowed me to standardize the output that for all of the testing that I do. In the past, I used to just take my favorite shot of the day, and of course that changes week by week. So if you don't end up with a catalog of anything that you can compare as you sort of build up your test prints. So what I thought was, standardize this and make sure that, at least for myself, I'm talking about here, I'm not talking about an industry standard or anything like that, but standardize it for myself. And then as I build on the library of papers that I try out, I just drop another one into this file, and I've got a catalog of everything that I've printed. And then that helps me to then, in the future as well, not only can I go in and see that, say, going back to what Benoit was talking about, I found that the Canon, the Pro Platinum paper from Canon, beautiful paper, and yet Canon have failed to capitalize on the fact that the printer that I own from them, I think it's Pixmar in the West, but Pixus Pro 9500 it's got a red cartridge, and yet their top of the line gloss paper at the moment doesn't print pure red, and yet the Harman I think it's gloss FBAL paper, it's got a much better profile and it prints a really, really nice red. So this for sure, the manufacturers of the printers are not creating profiles that are quite as accurate as they probably could be. And so I now, though, with this thing, I can go in and see what my profiles will give me. And if I need to print out a series of images that say have got a lot of greens in them, and that's always a problem for a lot of printers because they don't print typically the full gamut, then I can go in and check and make sure find out which of my profiles and paper combinations print good greens or lots of nice shades of greens, and then I can just sort of choose the paper for a project based on that. But I was actually, I should probably say, just a quick plug here, is that I did release the chart and a PDF with the results of my testing as a podcast, and I'll just check what the number of that. It was episode 192 and 193 of my podcast. But if people want to try that, by all means do. But my main point here as well was to just make sure that people knew these few extra tips. And there was one thing that I wanted to say that will improve 90%, 100% of people's prints if you don't already do that, is to just increase, say if you're using, whatever you're using, brighten your print up a little, your base photograph up a little bit before you print it. Because most people's main complaint is that the prints are muddy or they're too dark. And what I generally do is in Lightroom, I use the exposure slider and increase it by 0.15 to 0.2 stops of exposure before printing. I used to use brightness, but I found that if the brightness only really brightens the bright areas, and it doesn't increase the brightness of the shadow areas, whereas exposure increases the whole print. So if you're printing and you're finding them even slightly darker than you wouldn't like them to be on the paper, and of course that's obvious because you're looking at them on a backlit monitor, and yet when you print something out, you're using reflected light, and it's going to be darker by default. But just make sure that you go in and move the exposure up by anything up to maybe 0.2, 0.25 if necessary, and then you'll get brighter prints, and that'll improve all of your prints straight away.
I remember that I told you there'd be sunshine now.